Architectural Outcast.
Today, we're talking about one of the greatest movies ever made, Casablanca. The heroic, mysterious stranger goes abroad to North Africa at the beginning of World War II. We have a story of star-crossed lovers who get caught up in world events, choose to sacrifice their own personal happiness for the greater good. But like so many great stories that stand the test of time, there's a lot more going on here. Before we get into story and symbolism, I want to talk about some artsy stuff, specifically the differences between color and black and white film. Color film documents color. Pretty obvious, right? Black and white film, on the other hand, it documents light. Neither film type is better. Both have trade-offs. Which one you choose is dependent upon what type of story you want to tell. One of the unique advantages to black and white film is psychological. Most of our memories and most of our dreams are in black and white. We also see detail better in black and white. This makes us tend to remember black and white images better, and we associate black and white images with memory, with the past, with storytelling. The second advantage of black and white film, you can convey mood and emotion just through the manipulation of light and shadow. And almost every scene of Casablanca is a work of art, a masterpiece in cinematography. Another advantage benefits women in particular. Their facial features, hair, skin, figure, they can look amazing when photographed in black and white. Ingrid Bergman, she is stunning in this film. Enough simping, Randy. Back to the movie. Okay. The story's actually pretty simple. We have Rick Blaine, an American expatriate who runs a nightclub in Casablanca. World War II is raging in Europe. France has fallen. But North Africa is unoccupied territory, although they still have to answer to Germany. Refugees have flooded Casablanca because it's one of the few places left in Europe where you can flee to America, assuming you have the right documentation. Catch is, that documentation ain't easy to come by. So you have a city full of desperate people and those who prey upon the desperate. Rick maintains a strict neutrality. His club is open to everybody, assuming they pay their bar tab. And he also maintains a complicated but generally friendly relationship with a corrupt French official, Captain Renault, who's in charge of Casablanca. Rick comes into possession of two very valuable documents, allows people to travel freely out of Europe. And then Victor Laszlo and Ilse Lund hit town. Laszlo is a famous freedom fighter. He's a guy the Germans really want to get their hands on. Ilse, on the other hand, she's an old flame of Rick's. She's the woman that broke his heart. They're desperate to get their hands on some documentation so they can flee to America, so Laszlo can continue his fight against the Germans. Rick and Ilse's unexpected meeting rekindles old feelings. This causes Rick to have a crisis of conscience. He has in his possession documents that will allow two people to leave Casablanca, flee to America. So what should he do? Take the girl and run? Or step aside, allowing her and her husband to go to America? Well, we all know how it ends. He sacrifices his own happiness for the greater good. He even goes so far as to shoot the German officer trying to stop Laszlo from leaving Casablanca. The movie ends with Rick and Captain Renault going off to join the Free French to fight Nazis. Rick's past is a mystery, but the movie's rather clever in exactly how much it does reveal. Rick fought in Ethiopia against the Italians. He fought in Spain against the Germans. Whatever he did, the Germans aren't happy with him. He can't go back to Europe. When the German officer asked Rick, "How would you feel if New York was invaded?" Rick replied, I think there are parts of New York you don't want to invade. There's an implication that Rick might be from one of those parts of New York. Rick might be from the wrong side of the tracks. And we're told repeatedly that Rick left America under dubious circumstances. But when Rick was considering fleeing with Elsa, apparently going back to America wasn't that big an issue. So that means Rick is in Casablanca by choice. All of this information is reinforced by Rick's fedora and trench coat. The fedora was a hat that was worn by men with active lifestyles who worked both indoors and outside. The angle that Rick wore his hat indicated military service. This is reinforced by the trench coat. The trench coat was part of American military uniforms. Rick's age, his combat experience in Ethiopia and Spain, his clothing choices, and everything else we've learned all indicate that he probably served in World War I, and more than likely, he fought in the trenches. The rest of the symbolism in the movie isn't exactly subtle, but you need to know a little bit of history before you can make full sense of everything that's going on. America's participation in World War I was never popular. The general consensus was, that's Europe's problem. We should have never got involved with that mess in the first place. A lot of this attitude came from France and the way they treated America. America came out of World War II so powerful that there's a tendency to forget that wasn't always the case. At the time of World War I, Europe, and England and France in particular, held America in such contempt that when America joined the war, they weren't given full Allied status. They were regulated to aligned nation status. When the American Expeditionary Force arrived in Europe, France wanted to take American soldiers and use them as replacements, fill out the numbers in their line units. Pershing put his foot down, said, if you're going to take American soldiers, you're taking them by the whole unit. France said, we don't care. As long as we're in command, our officers are in charge, we'll take all you got. That didn't last very long. French officers came from the aristocracy or the military class. Common soldiers were peasants. But after years of trench warfare, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel. You're not talking the best and brightest here. And France was terrified they would suffer the same fate that Russia did just a few years before. So how the French officers kept control of their troops was through systematic and organized brutality. This didn't go over well with American troops. Within days, American soldiers started shooting their French officers. And this wasn't some random soldier losing it, start blasting. Entire regiments would march out, line up all their officers, and then shoot them in broad daylight right in front of everybody. You can punish an individual for mutiny. You can even punish groups for mutiny. But how do you punish everybody? Well, the French had the solution. They wanted entire regiments executed. Pershing said, you try that, you're not going to have to worry about what the German army will do to Paris. You'll need to worry about what the American army will do to Paris. And the American army is already in Paris. So it's pretty understandable that most American veterans, particularly the ones who served in France, hated and despised French leaders, political and military. So when America learned that France had fallen, and those same leaders had formed the Vichy government and had become collaborators with Germany, American veterans had no sympathy. The most you would get from them was a contemptuous shrug and a knowing sneer. That makes the final line of the movie all the more significant. Rick Blaine represents the American people, weary from the Depression, cynical of anything that comes out of Europe, just wanting to remain neutral, out of all of it. They may not like the Germans, but they have no reason to love the French any better. Captain Renault represents the French military, decadent and corrupt, entirely self-serving, but also caught in an untenable situation, betrayed by their leaders, both political and military, but bound by their oaths and laws, but at the same time fiercely patriotic. Major Heinrich Strasser represents Germany. He's pure evil. Need I say any more? Victor Laszlo represents the upcoming fight to free Europe. And that fight is going to take his level of focus, dedication, and self-sacrifice. Ilse Lund represents loss, lost love, lost happiness, lost peace. But she also represents hope. Hope that we can regain those things in the future. Get past this crisis. Get past this war. We can have a new love, new happiness, and a new peace. Rick, just like the American public, wants to stay out of everything, mind their own business. But Victor Laszlo and Ilse Lund, representing the fight for Europe and the loss of peace, come washing up on America's shores. They haven't come of their own free will. They've been driven by Germany's ruthless aggression and dreams of world domination. America's going to have to fight regardless of what they want. We come back to that final line of the movie. As they walk off into the distance, Rick turns to Captain Renault and says, "I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship." There's an acknowledgement. We may not like the French too much, and in particular the French army, but we're going to have to learn to work together if we're going to have any chance to liberate Europe. There is a reason why Casablanca is a consistent contender for one of the greatest movies ever made. It's storytelling at its finest. It's one of the greatest examples of black and white cinematography. Every single frame is a work of art. Bogart is on his game. There is a reason why he's a legend. And Ingrid Bergman, she does more than hold up her end. And she looks stunning while she does it. It's well worth your time if you haven't seen it. And it's still worth your time if you have seen it. Well, at any rate, I hope I've given you all something to think about. And until next time, you all be safe. And I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. What do you think of the movie?
Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment.